Hello everyone, Espen or Shori here, and this will be the first video on my YouTube channel outside of a gameplay commentary that I made around 3 years ago, I'm pretty sure. I've only ever done videos for skill camp, so this will be a little bit new to me, and I'll try to do things other than just commentaries because, well, they can easily be found on the skill cap channel, right? Although if you guys do love commentaries, then sure, I'll try to upload a few of them. But I really think something that's cool to do is analyzing laning phases, whether it's from a low elo player or whether it's from a high elo player, if it's a pro player, despite the lane matchup. I always think it's very fun to analyze and see what could happen in the lane, right, and what should happen. So, today I'll be watching Apdo playing Orianna into Irelia, which is a very unique matchup in that it's Irelia favored, but Orianna has counterplay in a way. So, I know a lot of you guys will probably also be struggling with these ranged versus melee matchups. I hear it very often. I don't know how to play ranged against melee champions. They just seem to always beat me at level 3, and I don't seem to be able to ever get a substantial advantage during the early game, right? Which you should when you're playing these ranged champions. So that's why I think this will be very interesting to watch. So let's start off. So how is Apdo going to play this laning phase? Or how does Orianna, generally speaking, want to play into these melee characters? Well, she has low cooldowns on her Q, right? So she wants to try to spam Qs on them, spam auto attacks, harass them very heavily with Qs and autos. She wants to, generally speaking, stack up a wave, slow push a wave, and then try to crash it, and then make the wave bounce back into her. Orianna wants to play a lot of small interactions, a lot of quick just Q auto attacks, and then back off, wait for Q to come up again, and then play it again. Whenever you're playing these ranged into melee matchups, generally speaking, you want small interactions. And you want frequent interactions. You want a lot of small interactions. You want to poke them out, whittle them down. That's how you're going to play. So Apdo wants a lot of small interactions while stacking up the first 2 waves, crashing the third, and then letting the 4th wave bounce back into him. That's going to be his game plan. Now, something that Apdo did that I don't recommend doing in a lot of these melee matchups is he's playing Doran's Ring. I would personally recommend playing Corrupting Potion, because you're going to be taking damage, and it allows you to play the lane in a little bit of a more aggressive way where you can afford to take damage, so you can play a few larger interactions. But Apdo's not going to be capable of doing that with this setup. So let's see how he opens the lane. So he opens the lane by hitting the Irelia just once. And what he should look for now is he should try to Q the Irelia when Irelia has to Q these minions. So Apdo right now has to pay very close attention to something, right? Because Irelia can Q this when it drops low enough HP. Actually, she's going to Q this minion. Then she can Q onto this minion and Q onto this minion, getting 3 stacks of her passive immediately. And then afterwards, what she's going to look to do is she's going to look to Q onto Apdo. So what Apdo has to do is he has to play all the way up here, and then he has to just simply Q into his wave whenever Irelia jumps. Because Irelia will win the level 1 trade. And you can see, this is a very instructive moment of the lane, right? But notice how Apdo shifted where he was playing. So right now he's playing topside, right? This creates the smallest distance between him and Irelia. The reason he's doing it right now is in case Irelia walks up to this minion, Apdo is going to be capable of hitting a Q and an auto attack. Now Irelia obviously shouldn't walk up to this minion. This would be a mistake. But Apdo is factoring in the fact that she might do it. And if she does it, she will get punished for it by a Q. That's why right now Apdo is walking up. And you will also notice that once Apdo is no longer favored, like once Apdo can no longer look for this, because he's going to lose the level 1 trade, right? He starts moving down. And you might ask yourself, well, why is Apdo moving down? Well, he's moving down because Irelia is playing on the top side of the lane, right? Remember? And when Apdo's playing on the top side of the lane, the distance between them is short. This is good if Apdo wants to look for trades, but like we said, Irelia wins the level 1 trade once she gets stacks on her passive. So he will not win the trade, right? So he moves down, thus creating more distance between himself and Irelia, making it harder for Irelia to trade with him. This is a very instructive moment. Once you're favored in the lane, or when you're favored in the lane, and you want to look for trades, try to play on the same side as the enemy laner, because that shortens the distance between you. Now this obviously doesn't factor in jungle, like where the junglers are or which side of the lane is safer for you, but that doesn't matter right now. This is a very instructive moment for laning specifically. That is why you will see Apdo now steps down, and he's still looking for a Q. He should still be looking for a Q on the Irelia here, just to proc his mana flow band. I think Apdo's playing a little bit too defensively here. At this point, Irelia goes for the trade. I think at this point, Apdo could, again, look to walk up a little bit more here. I think he could walk a little bit further up. Maybe he could walk over here and try to land an auto attack on the Irelia. But he should be paying attention to when this minion drops low HP, because Irelia, obviously, again, wants to jump on this minion and then jump on Apdo. Because this is what Irelia does level 1. And she beats basically anyone. So here, he makes a mistake, right? What is his mistake? This is a very nuanced mistake. After he kills this minion, he moves right side. For what purpose? Why does Apdo need to move right side here? Well, I'm sure in his mind, he's thinking, I want to hit Irelia when she goes for this last hit. But remember, Irelia does not want to just last hit this minion. She wants to Q it and then Q onto Apdo. So what should Apdo do here instead? He should move left side. There's no incentive for him to move right side because he will just lose the trade if Irelia Qs him, or Qs the minion and Qs onto him. So what he should instead do is either move up, which I would personally do. I would move up and a little bit to the left, just to make sure Irelia can't get onto me. And then he should wait for Irelia to kill these 2 minions, let this wave come in, and then ideally if he can hold it, that would be really good, but he probably won't be able to do it. So he makes a mistake here. He plays too close to Irelia. Now it doesn't end up mattering, and here he ends up making a little bit of a mechanical mistake as well. It doesn't end up mattering because, realistically speaking, Irelia can't take the trade because she will lose. Because she's playing with Doran's Blade instead of Corrupting Potion. I think if Irelia plays Corrupting Potion here, this trade is a little bit rougher for Apdo. And this trade actually ends up being good for Apdo. Because, exactly, Irelia isn't playing with Corrupting Potion, so this damage matters a lot. Because she can't sustain as easily. So maybe you could argue that Apdo was very simply just baiting the Irelia to take the trade, and he knew all of this. I'm not exactly sure about that. But that could be an argument that you could make, that he knew Irelia would be losing this trade, so he invited her to do it. He was skill checking her essentially, saying, okay, do you know that this trade is bad for you? And Irelia didn't know that, so she jumped and took the trade, and the trade ended up being bad for Irelia. Now here, Apdo makes a little bit of a mechanical misplay. You see something very cool here, right? Apdo, first of all, makes sure that he creates some distance between himself and Irelia, right? This is something that's very instructive when you're playing against these champions that can get on top of you very easily. First thing you should try to do, create distance between you and them. Why? Because when there's distance between you, Irelia can no longer trade, right? And her Q is on cooldown. She has no way of getting back onto Apdo and trade with him. Once he creates distance, the next goal in his mind should be, how can I keep this distance here? How can I keep distance between us? He wants a fixed distance between him and Irelia. So that means if Irelia moves over here, Apdo is going to move along with her. Now, if Irelia all of a sudden turns around, Apdo should also turn around, right? Makes sense? He's trying to keep a distance. He's trying to tether himself with Irelia, is the term we would use. So you'll see, once Irelia starts moving away, Apdo will start moving with her. And he's going to auto-attack her every single time to try to whittle her down. And this is good. Now, he makes a mistake here. What is the mistake? He mechanically misplays it by standing still here. He should not be standing still yet. He should continue moving into the Irelia, auto-attack, Q her, get phase rush proc, and then while Irelia is running away, continue moving with her and auto-attack. He's missing one auto-attack here, which you might argue doesn't matter that much, but he would have gotten an additional auto-attack in, which actually means quite a lot. And now Irelia. What are we doing again? What is Irelia's game plan? Well, Irelia still wants to try to push for 2. She wants to get level 2 and then trade with Apdo. How is she going to do that? She's going to jump on this minion, and she's going to kill this minion, and she's going to take 2. The main thing you need to pay attention to when you're playing against Irelia specifically is your own minions. So right now, Apdo has to really pay attention to this minion, because once this drops low enough HP, Irelia might try to jump on it. And once Irelia tries to jump on it, you have to be in a position to Q an auto-attacker. She has to get punished for it. She should not be allowed to jump on this minion. As you can see, right? What is Apdo doing again? He's moving towards the same side that Irelia is playing towards. Why is this happening? Because Apdo right now believes he can win a trade. He's looking for a trade. So he's moving down. And now you should see, once Irelia starts moving up, he might follow her up. However, you should also be paying attention to when Irelia is going to take level 2. She only needs 1 minion. And then she can jump on this minion. Right? So you see, Apdo is moving up now. Now Irelia gets 2 minions. She takes 2. Apdo fires out a very good Q here. And now he spaces very defensively. Because he knows he's losing. He knows he's not going to win a trade. So his base is very, very defensively now. This is fine. He's just going to let Irelia crash the wave. Not a lot else he can really do. Should take E second. A cool trick he could do here that I would really, really love to see is you can try to pull the wave and then just E yourself. I would actually pull the wave down because we saw Irelia move up. And then you can try to hold a freeze and just E yourself. It's a skill check. If Irelia is good, she's going to walk down and break your freeze. But if Irelia isn't paying attention and you get to freeze this wave, then it gets pretty difficult for her to play because it's a cannon wave and she has to fully push out the cannon wave to break your freeze. And I think it would be very difficult for her to do. Instead, he just lets the wave hit the tower. I don't think that's an ideal play. And I'll explain why in a little bit. Because now we get into the spot where what is happening with Apdo's wave right now is what we should ask ourselves. What is this wave going to do? Well, it's going to start slow pushing back into Irelia, right? What's that going to create? Well, it's going to create a situation where Apdo is going to be playing on the enemy side of the lane against an Irelia. And what did we not want? We didn't want big interactions, right? But what will happen is when we have to play on the enemy side of the lane as a control mage, we have to, like, there's a good chance that we're going to end up in an extended interaction, like a long interaction. Why is that? It's because there's more distance for the enemy laner to work with, because we're further out in the lane. When Apdo is playing close to his tower, the enemy Irelia doesn't have a lot of space to work with, right? Because Apdo is playing so close to safety. She can't physically get big interactions. She can only get small interactions, which is what we want as the Orianna, right? But when you're playing really far out, the enemy laner can get bigger interactions, which is bad for us. So right now, Apdo has to factor this in. He has to think. He wants to maximize. Right now, Apdo wants to maximize the amount of time he can play close to his tower right here. The ideal way to do this would have been to freeze, but now that we're in this situation, you want to maximize the amount of time you can play here, right? So how do you do that? Well, you make sure that you slow push this wave. You don't want to push it very fast. You want to stay here for as long as possible, because Irelia can't trade with you right now, because you're so close to your tower. And she can't really walk up in the lane either, because she will poke you. So what Apdo should do is once you end up in this situation, where the wave is now slow pushing into the enemy, you want to slow push this wave, wait for the next wave to come in, and then hard push the wave into Irelia's tower. If you do not do this correctly, what will happen is you will end up getting stuck on the enemy side of the lane, and there's a high chance that you'll just die to Irelia 1v1. There's a very high chance that will happen. So as we can see now, he's slow pushing it. This auto attack on Irelia is bad, because what is going to happen now is Apdo is going to pull all the minions and they're going to start walking into his tower. And the wave is going to push too fast. You can see this now. Even the cannon minion walks into tower range. This is bad for Apdo. Why is this bad for Apdo? Well, first of all, he misses the cannon, so GG mid diff, right? But it's bad for Apdo because this wave is now pushing too fast. You can see the next wave is not even close to arriving yet. That means Apdo's wave is going to walk up too far and meet the enemy wave too close to the enemy tower. Which means that now Irelia has a lot of distance to work with and she can get a big interaction. Which means there's a high probability that we're going to get solo killed if we get hit by an E. So Apdo has mismanaged his wave here. He's trying to salvage it by pushing this really, really slowly. But what does Apdo have to do now? Now that he's in this spot, he's in a fucked spot, right? He's level 3 to level 2. That's the advantage Apdo has right now. He has level 2 to level 3 to level 2. He has a big wave, right? So how does Apdo get out of this awkward situation where he has to play on the enemy side of the lane? He has to crash this wave. How can Apdo crash this wave? That is the only thing that should be on his mind right now. He should not care about Irelia's HP bar because we're not killing her. He should care about how can I crash this wave to make sure Irelia does not get into a spot where she can get an extended interaction with me and freeze on me or even worse, kill me. This is a mistake by Apdo. He should not be looking for Irelia. Irelia's HP does not matter right now, unless we're trying to dive her. But our Olaf is bot side, so we can't dive her, right? This should not matter. What should matter right now is crashing this wave. So Apdo has wrong priorities here. In my head, what I'm thinking here is I need to hit these minions and crash this wave so Irelia cannot set up a freeze on me. Because if I get frozen on against an Irelia, I just die. Irelia will just jump to a minion, get 5 stacks, and then jump on me and kill me if I get hit by an E. As we can see here, he gets hit by an E, and wow, that's crazy. He's just straight up dead. He just got solo killed by an Irelia because he mismanaged his wave and he had wrong priorities. Now, he also did mechanically misplay it. He could have very easily traded 1-for-1. He cancelled an auto here And here, he should not auto-attack the Irelia. He should obviously just keep running. If he keeps running, Irelia has to continue tanking tower. In which case, she has to flash on Apdo. And then they're going to trade 1-for-1. And Apdo can TP back to mid lane and crash the wave. But Irelia shouldn't even like try to go for this dive. What Irelia should do ideally is she just takes this trade. She takes a really good trade here. And then she dashes back out and she just tries to freeze the wave. She forces Apdo to walk back, TP. Then Apdo TPs on this really big wave. Irelia continues holding the freeze. Irelia's jungler comes mid lane. Apdo gets ganked and Apdo just dies. And he loses a colossal wave. So none of this should realistically happen. And none of this would happen if Apdo played his wave correctly. But because he mismanaged it, he ends up in this awkward spot, right? So now Apdo has to teleport back to mid lane. He has to teleport back. Why? Because his wave is in a bad spot. He has to get this wave into the enemy tower. To make sure that Irelia at least loses minions for the play that she just made. So he has to crash this. He has to crash this. So this is good play by him. And now what can Apdo do? He can't really do anything. Hitting this tower is completely useless. No reason to hit it. Let's look at the map. Whenever we push out our wave, we always want to try to orientate ourselves and think about what can we do. So let's look at our map. Is there anything Apdo can do here? Let's first look at roams. Can Apdo roam top lane here? Very unlikely. There's very low chance that we're going to be killing a Graves, unless he's very far up in the lane. Can Apdo roam bot lane here? No, he's level 4, there's no way we're diving it. Unless, actually, if Olaf moves with him, maybe there's a chance for a dive, but we might get TP'd on. So, those are the two roams. Are any of them viable? More than likely not. Okay. Can we farm any jungle camps? No, we're level 4, it's too early in the game. Great. Can we get plates? No. They're too healthy, okay? So we can't get plates either. So what I would probably look for here is I would either look to just go into enemy jungle and try to get a little bit of vision, try to see which camps are up, because if I see that enemy's bot side is up, I know that Elise is going to be pathing to bot side, or Elise is going to be on her bot side. So I feel a little bit safer about that. Or I would just recall here. But Apdo doesn't really have anything to buy and he's full HP, full mana, so recalling is not great either. I think the most realistic play here is maybe you just look for the dive bot lane, but this is really weird. I don't get why he's looking for... wow. Wait. The dive bot lane actually happens. So imagine if Apdo moved down here. Imagine if Apdo moved down here. He would have actually been in a position to help his team dive bot lane. Which that was the one roam that was possible, right? He would have unironically helped win this entire fight bot lane if he moved down correctly. That's why it's so important to orientate yourself about what's going on. The problem was Apdo didn't look bot lane either, right? When this entire play happened, after he pushed out this wave, what Apdo should be trying to do is he should be looking at this wave here. And he should be seeing what's going on bot side. Because we see the enemy jungler top side, right? Which means she can't be bot. She can't defend the dive. And we see our own jungler bot side. There's a high probability that this play will work if bot lane has a stacked wave. But Apdo just straight up doesn't look at the bot wave. Which is a mistake by him. He should be looking at bot. If he looks at bot lane here, he would probably conclude that you can easily dive this. And this is a problem a lot of players have. Where they would make the correct decision if they had information, but they don't gather the information, right? They don't look at the lanes. This is a big problem. That's why you always gotta orientate yourself about what's going on in side lanes when you're playing mid lane. Where can you roam to? Where can you move to? Where should you move to? Now, Apdo is playing this lane very, very slowly again. This is completely fine. He should be looking to slow push this in. This is all good. He wants to deny Irelia as many minions as possible. That's why he's not immediately pushing it. And now he has to play very, very safe. He's just CSing. Now what Apdo should look for is this minion. Irelia wants to jump on this minion and then Q onto Apdo. So he's backing off correctly. He should be moving top side as well, because he knows the entire enemy team is bot side. Irelia misses her E, and now Apdo should punish it. This is good by Apdo. I think he could actually continue moving up. And then what should Irelia do? If Apdo moves up here, what should Irelia do? Well, Irelia would look to jump on this minion, right? And then Q onto Apdo. That's fine for Apdo, because Apdo still has W up. So what Apdo would respond with is he would W, run away, create distance between him and Irelia again, and then chase her down again with Qs and auto attacks, and he would be winning the lane. Irelia actually makes a pretty horrible mistake here, and Apdo doesn't capitalize on it, which is sad. Now Apdo just has to let Irelia push in. There's no way you can contest this at this point, because Irelia has 5 stacks and the wave is too big. So he just has to kind of sit back and relax. He could Q the Irelia to proc mana flow band. I would have liked to see that, but it's just a clear-cut case of it is what it is. Here again, I would have loved to see Apdo attempt to freeze, because he has double potions. And now we get into this spot again. We have seen this once before. The wave is slow pushing. So how is Apdo gonna play it? He should play this wave very slowly. Okay, Irelia might just be inting here. No, she doesn't die. What? Does she die? No, right? No, she doesn't die. Yeah, dude, I would have been shook if she died there. That would have been egregious. But she would have died if the Wraith Camp wasn't up. So Apdo has to slow push this, exactly the same as before. Exactly the same as before. This will happen very frequently when you're playing these melee into ranged character, or ranged into melee characters. You slow push this wave, and then you have to fast push next wave. So here, Apdo is doing something very cool. Now, I don't know if it's intentional, but he's hugging this minion. Why is he hugging this minion? Because he wants Irelia to jump on this minion and try to trade with him. Why does he want that? Because his Olaf is playing up here. Something else that I would have loved to see from Apdo, that I know I try to explain to everyone whenever I play my games, is if your jungler's topside here, and you want to force the enemy laner to walk into your jungler to gank, to make the gank more successful, you should play on the bot side. So this is a very core concept, right? Irelia is trying to play opposite side of Apdo right now because she wants to create a lot of distance between the two of them because she will lose these poke trades. She doesn't want to take free damage. So what should Apdo do knowing that? And knowing that his jungler is topside? Well, he should move to the bot side. Why? Because then Irelia wants to create max distance between the two of them, right? So she will move topside, right into the Apdo's jungler, which means that the gank will be more successful, right? So that's why whenever you're trying to set up a gank, go on the opposite side of the lane to your jungler, and then try to push the enemy laner towards your jungler. Now, if Irelia is a complete psycho, she will still play bot side here. In which case, you just kind of have to take the L and say, okay, Irelia, fair enough, good enough. Like, you're skill checking the enemy. If they don't pay attention, they will walk up to the opposite side and they will get killed by your jungler. This is a very cool concept that a lot of people don't understand fully, I think. But Irelia still just moved topside for some reason, so yeah. I mean, it worked anyway, right? Because Irelia moved topside for no reason. Does she die here? Apdo hits the minion, takes level 6. Oh my god, she's gonna die because of it. Oh, that was such a cool play. Oh my god, Apdo saw that he was about to hit level 6, so he killed that minion, took level 6, and it kills her. Oh my god, that was such a sick play. Oh my god, that was so cool. Apdo should stay for another wave here. So, Apdo wants to stay for this wave, push it out fully, and then walk back and reset. The reason for this is Irelia is dead. The only thing that can happen is Elise walks mid lane, but Elise isn't gonna kill you. There's no chance, right? You want to crash this wave to make sure that the next wave is gonna bounce back into you, essentially. So he wants to push out this wave, make sure that Irelia loses as much as possible, and this should also make the next wave start slow pushing back into him. He buys boots second because he really values the spacing in this lane, and he wants to be able to dodge Irelia E. I don't necessarily agree with the decision. I would have loved to see Lost Chapter instead, but I don't think he had enough gold. I also don't like Apdo not buying tier, and I think buying cloth armor is also a mistake. I think his build could use a lot of work. I think it's a little bit inefficient. So here, what he should do is he should try to kill these minions as slowly as possible, just because he wants the next enemy wave to walk in a little bit closer to his tower. Even if it's just like a matter of this much distance, it really matters when you're playing against these champions that want long interactions. So he should try to kill these minions as slowly as possible. Like, auto-attack them last second. So this auto-attack is too quick. This auto-attack is also too quick. You want to auto-attack it last second, so the next enemy wave walks in a little bit closer. Because if you can get the wave to a spot where it's here, instead of here, you have more, like, leeway. Like, you're closer to your tower, you're closer to safety. This is why it's very important when you're playing ranged into melee characters to try to get the wave into a spot where you can play it close to your tower. And these are some of the cool tricks you can use. Killing a wave slower, holding a wave, all these cool tricks you can use to get into a spot like this. Because what ultimately determines how these lanes function is wave state. If you end up with a wave that is on the opposite side of the lane or the enemy side of the lane, you will more than likely just die, because you will get all in then killed. If you have a wave that's on your side of the lane, the enemy laner can't play, because they can't go for extended trades with you because you're too close to your tower, and you will slowly whittle them down. What you have to do is when the wave is on your side of the lane, you have to whittle down the enemy laner, so when the wave ends up being on the enemy side of the lane, they're too low HP to play the game properly and they can't all in you. This is the basic theory of how you want to play these matchups. When the wave is on your side of the lane, Play aggressive, try to poke the enemy laner. When the enemy is, or when the wave is on their side of the lane, they should be so low HP that they can't all-in you anymore. Right? That is how this should work. So that's why these interactions are very important. It's very important to poke the enemy laner when they can't trade with you. It's very important. So right here, he should also be looking for Qs on the Irelia. He has 2 levels up. He should really be looking for Qs on the Irelia, on this minion. Cute. Cute, cute, cute. I don't understand this. I don't understand why he's not looking for a Q. What I would personally do here is I would move bot side and I would look for a Q on the Irelia here when she goes for this last hit. The reason I would move bot side is I see my Olaf here and I don't have vision on the entire enemy top side. So Elise could be sitting in this bush for all I know. But if I'm on the bot side here and I Q Irelia, my ball is already here, right? So the travel distance, it doesn't matter where I'm standing. The Q cast is going to be the same, right? Doesn't matter if you're playing up here, doesn't matter if you're playing right here, doesn't matter if you're playing here. Wherever you're playing, the ball's travel distance is the exact same, right? So you just have to play where you're the most safe. This is a very Orianna specific thing. But once your ball is already out, the travel distance from your ball to the enemy is going to be the same regardless of where you're playing in the lane, so you just have to play the spot that gives you most safety. And right here, the spot that gives you most safety is bot side. So I would play bot side because my Olaf is here. If he meets the enemy jungler, I can move faster. And then I would look for a Q on the Irelia when she goes for this minion to proc mana flow and to lower her HP bar to make sure that once I have to play on the enemy side of the lane, she's low HP, right? She's chunked out. And you can potentially even look for a dive with the Olaf at that point coming from behind. So I really don't like the way Apdo is playing this. I think he's playing it too slowly. I think he's playing too safe. Especially considering his team is behind. I really dislike this. And then he's just playing for Qs. This is really, really slow. I think this is too slow. It's too passive. He might be trying to bait the Irelia here. Yeah, they should just kill it pretty cleanly. I mean, it ends up working out, but I still think it's too slow. The only reason it works out is Irelia decides to jump in for no reason whatsoever. So it ends up working out. Apdo ends up getting a kill. And the lane is pretty much over here. He pushes out another wave. Same reasoning as before. You want Irelia to lose as much as possible, and you want to get as much gold as possible for your recall. If he builds a Seekers here, I'm going to punch myself in the face. Great. Don't like Blasting Wand either. You really need Lost Chapter on these control mages if you're not playing tier. And you should also be playing tier. Tiers are very broken this patch. Let's look a bit further. Again, Apdo, trying to play the lane as slowly as possible. You want the wave as close to your tower for as long as possible, so you don't just want to AFK push this. Although I think at this point, Irelia is positioning herself in a way that basically says, I'm not going to be playing this lane anymore. Just please push me in so I can farm under tower, and then you can get priority. So at this point, you have options, right? You can change the way you're playing the lane at this point. Once you've gotten to this spot where you're so far ahead that the enemy can't play lane anymore, you have 2 options. Do you start shoving in and trying to play the map and roam? Or do you try to just put the enemy laner even further behind? What Apdo is doing right now is he's trying to put the enemy laner further behind while stacking up a big wave, and then he's probably going to push out that wave and then look for a bot lane roam. That's what I would presume. He wants to stack up a big wave, crash it, and then roam. And this is also something that's very important. He does not just want to push every single wave, because then the enemy will get to farm with the tower. He will only push every second wave. Because then he will deny the enemy and he will stack up big waves, so he will have more time to move. I think this is bad. Don't think he should do this. Irelia is also making a mistake here. He created a perfect situation for Irelia, where Irelia could now pull the wave up here. The next enemy wave is pretty close. This is mirrored on the other side, obviously, so the wave is around here. She could pull the wave up, wait for her wave to arrive, and then freeze the lane, and Apdo will still lose an all-in. He will still lose an all-in. Irelia still wins the all-in, because Irelia is just that broken in extended trades. So I think Irelia is making a mistake here, and I think Apdo is making a mistake here. None of them see the play, I don't think. Now Apdo's moving bot side. We see the play happening. Irelia is making another mistake. And now Irelia just has to give up and walk out of the lane. So both of them are making mistakes here, but it's fine. Wait, she's dead. She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. Oh, if he hit the Q, she was dead, despite Elise being there. So the reason she's dead here, she misses her E, she has no real way of getting out, and Apdo can space this out with Phase Rush. Walk with her. If she walks up, you can also try to walk up, but you know Elise is up here, so you kind of have to walk to the right-hand side. But you want to move towards where Irelia is going, right? So if she's moving up like this, you're moving around it like this. But you're still eventually moving up. You can't just run straight this way if Irelia moves up. Why? Because then Elise is going to catch you here. So you're moving away from Elise and towards the Irelia at the same time. You're not just running this way. You're trying to curve it up and move with her so you can land your Q and ult on her. And I'm pretty sure she's dead here. Irelia is making a mistake by continuing to move down. She should immediately just try to run up. Apdo here, if he lands this Q, he will Q, then he will ult, and he should continue moving to the right side, by the way. Continue moving to the right side. I still think he can actually kill her. If he keeps on moving right side, ult Irelia here, move up, Q, W, auto, and then he can start running down. And he actually kills her here. The reason you have to continue moving right is to move away from the Elise. And this is something that's very instructive on just generally speaking ganks. You want to move away from the enemy jungler. So I think he's dead there, and he makes a little bit of a mistake. But I would say the lane is pretty much over already. The laning phase is pretty much done, I would have to say. I don't think there's anything else that's that interesting. He gets his lost chapter. Now the game is just on. He just has to play mid-game now. But yeah, this was a little bit of a review of how you're going to be playing these matchups, these ranged versus melee matchups. The most important parts of these matchups is playing on the correct side of the lane, in terms of looking for harass on the enemy laner when they have to go for last hits, and also playing with the wave correctly. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, have a good one. See ya.